What up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back here. It is Friday night, and it is another episode of the Friday Night Movie Club, episode 67 here. And I'm joined with my, can I call you compadres? That just sound weird now. If I keep saying
no, that's perfectly acceptable, and that's not cultural appropriation. So you're good.
Yep. So we're here, episode 67 of the Friday Night Movie Club, and we're gonna be doing a double take here because we're gonna be doing a movie review and a movie night all on the same show. Can you believe that we're actually gonna be doing this?
No, because I was like, I told you, Jacob, I'm not going to watch Wonka until Sunday for that.
Well, guess
Wonka
what? I
Prime.
watched it, so well, you need you to be here for the review anyway. So how about that?
Well, if it's any comfort, I just finished making some hot chocolate.
Yeah, I can hear you clanking the spoon over the mic.
Yes, so I am in the spirit of the season here.
Mm-hmm. Over there, just clicking and clanking away. I can just see you teetering away with your little spoon right now as we start here on the live on the show.
Well, here to complete the effect, complete with my little R cup.
Is that a knife you're spinning it with? A butter knife?
No, it's a regular spoon.
I was about to say, what kind of weirdo are you?
Well, I am from El Paso. Maybe that explains a lot. But they're to make you happy. But as you can tell, my lighting is not the best. I need to get a nicer light. I should my setting, so I'm probably not going to pop in on camera a lot. But I wanted people to see me stir. And L'chaim, happy end of Hanukkah for everyone who celebrates.
Yeah.
Keep kosher, everyone. Keep kosher.
Yeah, fine, Jesus. Just don't remember about the Jesus part. That's pretty.
Hey, I go to Baptist church, so take that. Take that. Yeah, I even volunteer. I even volunteer at my church.
You know what? Well, that's not going to get you into heaven, but I was going to say, I
had
just figured out. I was just gonna say I was gonna add a church organ to my sound Rolodex, and I completely forgot to do that. So that would have been actually a funny moment to use that, but unfortunately, I screwed it all up. Yeah, but hey, not everyone here can be a rising star like myself. So I mean, there's something that you can throw into your hat.
Congratulations! I saw that.
Mm-hmm. I'll have to give that guy a shout out here before we end the show. But you guys know how this show is going to go if you guys have been here long enough. The first part of this show, first half of the show, we're going to be here on YouTube. We are live on YouTube, Rumble, and on Twitter right now. Not on Twitch because, we don't want to have our boobs out for 2 hours. So we're not going to be on Twitch for a little bit. But we are
I
going to
could
be on.
try if you like. I could try to have my boobs out.
No, no. I mean, if I was
Oh.
going to get somebody to do it, it'd be Nerdigans. But, But the way we're gonna work first half of the show is gonna be here on YouTube, obviously, and then we're gonna hop over onto Rumble and on Twitter as well. If you guys want to actually watch the movie night, because we're gonna be watching a little movie called Hollywood Shuffle, which is a very very funny Robert Townsend comedy film. Came out in 1987. A lot of people, a lot of big name stars who you guys have probably seen over the years. Like Keenen Ivory Wayans is in the film. John Witherspoon. So many other great black comedians who are in that movie as well. If you haven't seen it before, you're definitely going to enjoy it. Rick, have you ever seen that movie?
No, I've often heard about it, and I know that it actually, as much as I joke about it, it actually does have a Criterion edition.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that was it Keenan Ivory Wayans or one of the Wayanses co-wrote this. Didn't one of them co-write this movie?
It would. If my guess would it would be Keenan because I think he was the one who worked with Robert Townsend the most. So I think that he would have been directly involved. And yep, I was right. He did in fact co-write this movie. This one
Hmm.
was directed by Robert Townsend. So yeah, a lot of great comedians on this list. So that would be a good treat for us on the second half of this show. Quick little shout out to everyone joining us here so far. Like I said, we have Roof Korean here says, "What up, you clap having Jezebels?" Hey, I mean, I'm not gonna make that joke because I've already got into enough trouble here this week. Some of the comments that I made, so I'm just gonna let it go here.
Yeah, I don't even understand what that means.
You know what the clap is, don't you? I'm pretty sure. Energy is here with us here tonight, saying, "All right, movie night here." We also have Keith Howard joining us here as well. So, by the way, just for you guys, like for the record, I threw the Rumble link in here as well. So, like I said, once we're done with the movie review portion of the show, we'll jump over to the movie night, and we will be on Rumble. So, we'll be on Rumble the whole night. If you want to go there now or get there later, just so you guys have everything all together. Alex vs. Evil also joining us here too. So we got some people trickling in right now, but couple of things here. I guess we can talk about this just real quick before we get started. I think you saw the comments from James Cameron about the
Yes.
whole Barbie situation, and first of all, people are trying to pretend like somehow America Ferrera has been snubbed from an Academy Award because she, during the Barbie movie, at some point of the film, she sat there and gave like this woke feminist, like literally like white girl wasted speech about how women have to do everything for men and how they're just the ultimate victims of the world. And you can tell that all the like the woke liberal women were like clapping and crying when they heard that whole scene. And shocker, for whatever reason, she didn't get nominated for the Academy Award, even though
No, not
Barbie
yet,
still
not
has.
yet, not yet.
Oh, not yet. I mean, I'd say Golden Globe, even though
Golden
it's
Globes, yeah.
leading Golden Globe nominations, which that in and of itself is just another joke. But it just goes to tell you how they care far more about the message than the quality. So James Cameron ended up saying something that I thought was just completely asinine, but it's pretty on par with what we expect from James Cameron these days. So let's go ahead and just shoot this one up real quick. Says that praises America Ferrera's woke feminist speech in Barbie, saying it hit the mark so perfectly. So let's listen to this diatribe here. James Cameron, who's working on like Avatar 6, even though we've only seen like two of them so far. Like I said, go in there and talk about this movie, the scene that we talked about here. It says, "You basically summed up thousands of years of the female dilemma in 1 minute. I don't think it's ever been done so succinctly and hit the mark so perfectly." This is James Cameron talking about the film here, because in Barbie, Erica Ferrera plays Gloria, and a Mattel employee who gets get acclimated with the real world. She has to literally shoot around the real Barbie. I think at one point, like, didn't like Ken bring the patriarchy to Barbie land, and all of a sudden, all the strong female women weren't strong female women anymore because they were
Yes,
having boyfriends, stuff like that. And that's apparently like the worst sin that you can have in a female fantasy
and
land, I guess.
and being obsessed with horses
Mm-hmm.
and the Mojo Dojo Casa House.
Yeah. So this was her whole rant here. I can't play the whole thing. Obviously, the Warner Brothers would definitely claim it, but she basically goes
And
on
it's
to
also
say
three
that
minutes. It's 3 minutes
yeah,
long.
it's not great. She goes and said, you have to be thin, but not too thin. You have to never say you want to be thin. You have to say you want to be healthy, but you also want to be thin." She later whines about the fact that you have to answer for men's bad behavior, which is the same. But if you point that out, you're accused of complaining. Keep in mind, she's literally going on a 3 minute diatribe of complaining about men, but you're not allowed to point that out apparently. And then it turns out, in fact, that you're not only doing everything wrong, but everything is your fault. Yeah, because if there's one thing that's wrong with our society, it's women taking too much accountability for their actions. I'm not sure if you've been following our world over the last few years. That's certainly one thing that's definitely a fantasy land with the people who wrote this whole thing. And like I said, everyone's seen it by now. Everyone's seen the whole thing with Barbie and what that movie was trying to promote and all that good stuff. And like I said, now it's getting the James Cameron endorsement now that we're going on here with award season, because now it's that time of the year again, at that time of the year for the best and the worst, and for the worst to somehow be awarded as the best, because that's what Hollywood has become now. So it's just a quick little note there. What do you think about James Cameron chiming in and trying to cape up for Barbie here?
Well, I think it's interesting that the man who lost Best Director to his ex-wife is now deciding to be about feminism and power. I don't understand why he thinks that this was sums up the history of feminism or what have you in a minute. And even Greta Gerwig, I saw the video. Even Greta Gerwig said, "Oh, it's like about a minute." No, it's 3 minutes. I actually did, you know. So
Yeah, it
I
went
kept,
on forever.
yeah, and it was just, she said that, just it just came to, America put in her own bits and pieces into it. But first, I think this is not it wasn't a performance, and it wasn't even a monologue. It was kind of a diatribe, and this is the way America Ferrera basically speaks. This is the way she, this is the way she always sounds.
Hmm.
This is not anything new. So I don't know why people think that it's a great performance. It wasn't. Second, I I went. Of course, I only went once. I did not see this movie in theaters multiple times. But in the theater that I attended, no one applauded. First off, I know people keep saying that people burst out into. Greta Gerwig said people burst out into spontaneous applause. It didn't happen in my theater, and I did see a woman and a child, whom I presume is her daughter, leave the theater before the movie ended. They left, and I never saw them come back. So I don't know if all these things are true, but Cameron praising this movie, well, he has every right to. I don't know why he doesn't have anything to promote. He doesn't have anything to sell. Maybe because he thinks that Greta Gerwig is, her generation's Dorothy Arzner. I don't know. I have no idea. But you know, I really can't contribute much to this, Jacob, other than this is not a performance, and people who keep saying that it is, it's true. She's campaigning. She wants that nomination. And most actresses or actors want that nomination. I don't blame them. Why she's going to be selected when few people have actually been talking about her is a puzzle to me. Most people are talking about From the Holdovers or The Color Purple, um, Oppenheimer. Those are what, three slots? Maybe four if Taraji P. Henson manages to get in. So that's already four slots. Who's going to be the fifth? Many people want Ferrera, but that's more, I want to say, like a desire to have that big speech played during during the Oscar clip. And one last thing, just so, because I know I ramble.
Go
Honestly,
on.
for all of these women who think that this is, oh, it's literally impossible to be a woman. That's how the speech starts. Do you really think, like I put it out on X Twitter, do you really think Golda Meir or Margaret Thatcher were sitting around whining about this? Or were they like leading their countries? Get to work, America. You're a powerful woman. Produce your films.
I'm sorry. Are you pushing women to you work and be accountable for other like it's 2023. You realize you can't do that anymore, right?
I don't know about that. All I know is that you can have, you can lead your country. Margaret Thatcher was not about waiting. What did she say? That if you want something said, you go to a man. If you want something done, go to a woman. I vote for Maggie. I'd vote for Golda Meir. Indira Gandhi. Well, Indira Gandhi, benefited from being the daughter, but apart from that, there are many women who were capable and strong and who did not sit around and wait for to be thin or not too thin. And this whole thing about man, they have to answer for men. No, I've never known a woman that has to answer for a man's actions. I'd like examples from Greta Gerwig or America Ferrera to tell me when a woman has had to respond. Usually, the woman kind of what divorces the guy.
Well, like I said, this whole thing is built on the idea that these people live in the Hollywood bubble where they only hear their own opinions 24 hours a day. Anyone who is remotely an inch right of their political ideology is shunned and blacklisted from the town. So they put themselves in a bubble where they only hear their own dumbass nonsense opinions and literally nothing else. So, and then they create movies like this, and they think that they're speaking to the female experience when they're talking about their experience in their industry in one town in the United States of America.
Well, I have a question for all these people. Um, what are the specific examples that you can point that they have that women have been having to answer for men, and also kind of a second
Oh, the,
question
the
here.
the examples is the movies that they produce out of that town. It's their own movies.
In terms of the actual performance, though, outside of her, I am oppressed speech, what other part of her performance can you point out that says this was a good performance? What else could people remember from America Ferrera and Barbie?
They want to award her for the scene where she's basically spewing their political propaganda onto the audience.
But no, I mean a whole performance. You have to remember it. I mean, if you go to like a supporting actor or supporting actress performance, I mean,
Do you like I said,
well,
Jamie Lee Curtis won an Oscar last year. Does anyone remember her performance for that movie? Like the bar is very low now.
you keep bringing Jamie Lee Curtis up, and I keep pointing out it was a de facto lifetime achievement award. But
No, it wasn't.
let's go to Beatrice Straight in Network. That's a 5 minute performance, shortest performance to be awarded an Oscar so far. People remember that performance. People remember even the 8 minutes that Judy Dench was in Shakespeare in Love. What do they remember about America Ferrera outside of that one scene? What do they remember?
Beats me.
All right, okay. You need a full performance. Even the much blamed Jamie Lee Curtis performance. I remember the hot dog fingers. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but I do remember the hot dog fingers. So, what can you point out to all the people who really think that Ferreira should win the Oscar, not just be nominated, but should win the Oscar? What else outside of that one scene can you point to in performance in Barbie that would merit an Oscar or even a nomination? Uh, I'm just putting that out there. Maybe someone will re-educate me and prove that I'm wrong. But what can they show me outside of that one scene? What exactly in her performance would work?
What is it about this movie in general that warrants any kind of award association whatsoever? Nothing about this movie stands out. Nothing about this movie is any good. It's only because of the political rants against men in the film that anyone pretends like this is a good movie. Because if that stuff was not in there, this wouldn't. I mean, you wouldn't even have heard anything past like September about this movie, and then it just would
Well,
have been down on the mind.
I push back a little bit on that, Jacob. I think production design is good. I think the costume design was quite good. I even think one of the songs is good. Apart from that, though, I don't see why anyone should nominate it. I don't understand the Gosling thing. I was torn to shreds on the Twitter because I suggested that Ryan Gosling is fading from being thought of as a serious, not a serious winner, not a nominee probably, but like yeah, he would win. And like, oh no, it's not over. How dare you? Like, I'm going, what can you point in his performance of the whiny himbo, other than like he is Knuff, which is Cider's mantra now? What can you point in his performance that is so great?
Nothing.
Well, no, somebody. There are many people who think that he deserves to win, that he's going to win, and that the Charlie Merton from May December, he's not even going to get nominated. But should Ryan Gosling get nominated, expect the mother of all meltdowns on X Twitter, like I told you, or like I said on Twitter itself, because so many people think that he's going to win, and so many people still think he's going to overtake Ronnie Jr. For Oppenheimer. But I can't think of anything in this movie that is good. The screenplay, people talk about America Ferrera's monologue. What about the daughter, Sasha, the character of Sasha, where she goes on about cultural Marxism and setting back feminism for 50 years? That was enough speech. I know why she's the daughter, because both of them are very fond of speech making. But there's nothing here. But people love this movie. I don't know why they love this movie. I've seen it twice. Um, I don't quite get why people really think it's all that good. But again, I'm willing to hear why people think that it's distractions that happen one night. I really am. I'm
Well, get
curious.
ready because it's going to dominate a war season, and everyone's going to be talking about it for the next 3 to 4 months.
Exactly. We're
So
gonna we're gonna
enjoy.
get the. I'm telling you, we're gonna get the 6 month, six criterion. We're gonna get a this criterion for this turning point. This is probably more powerful than Across the Spider-Verse, which literally is one of the greatest films ever made in the history of cinema.
Like literally a benchmark for an animated half of a movie where the main character doesn't even show up until an hour and 10 minutes in. But
Pretty
it's
much.
great.
People very tolerant of all sorts of things, but again, I'm willing to listen to why people think Barbie is so great and America Ferrera deserves to win the Best Supporting Actress and Ryan Gosling deserves to win. But it's curious. I think that Gosling will get nominated. Ferrera probably not, but I don't think it'll win anything above the line, like top level acting or directing or anything like that. And it might even lose
well,
production. It might even lose production or cost him to poor things. That's certainly making a big run for those
Well, look,
awards.
I'll look at it this way: anything that it wins is more than it deserves. So that's the way that I look at it. And then, quick little note before I get into the Wonka part here. Do you see this tweet earlier? That this whole diatribe about why we shouldn't make worst of the movies in the year list. So Joe Russo, who I don't even know exactly who this is, like I thought to myself, this is one of the dudes who does like all the Avengers stuff. Is he one of those guys, or he's just some guy on Twitter? I don't know at this point, but he posted this unironically. Making movies is hard. Stop doing these lists. So then he goes on to clarify here and said, and for the record, I'm not saying you can't criticize movies, but these films were already reviewed. There's no reason to take another swipe. No, if your film is so bad that we're still thinking about it, how bad the movie is by the time we get to the end of the year, it deserves to get swiped multiple times. Because some of these films that come out are absolute garbage that absolutely deserves to get dunked on at every opportunity possible. So
Well, first off, I'm surprised that there he is. I was waiting for Rob to say something.
yeah, Rob and Cassie were a couple of
Yeah.
elbows from the top rope on this guy.
Yeah. All right. I would refer Mr. Russo to YouTube and have him look up the Siskel and Ebert worst of the year show that they would do every year. And they would say that these movies were the movies that they thought were the worst were so bad that it took 2 hours of their lives, which they'll never get back. And they said they're so bad that they deserve another swipe. Contrary to what Mr. Russo says, Ziskel and Ebert thought that some movies deserve to be bashed one more time because they're just so angry about how bad they were and that they had to sit through them. I mean, I think Coney probably walked out of screens once or twice, but Mr. Russo's wrong. There is nothing wrong with making a worse list. Is he also saying that you can't make a best of list?
No, no, just worse. You can't make people feel bad because protecting people's feelings is the most important thing in 2023 now.
No, I would disagree with Mr. Russo here. Joe Crawford said in an interview that nobody sets out to make a bad film, and that's true. I have people who made something like The Flash or Quantumania or even Joyride set out to make a bad film. They did not say, "Okay, we're going to make a
No, they
terrible
didn't
film."
set out to make a bad film. They
No,
just did because they're not good at their jobs.
exactly. So they made a bad film, and people want to call them on it. They should. And if they want to rank the films that people that they like the least, they have every right to. Mr. Russo's wrong. And again, Mr. Russo, I doubt your
Calling
watch,
him Mr.
but
Russo. I'm calling him Joe. He doesn't have the. He's not a man, so he doesn't have the earn the respect of being called Mister in this conversation. The guy's name is Joe, and he's a Joe
okay,
Brony.
Joe, Mr. Joe. I again go to YouTube, look up Siskel and Ebert's worst of. They did a worst of, and if you somehow think that you're better than Siskel and Ebert and are more knowledgeable about film than they were, go ahead and hold a séance and tell them how bad they were. Again, he's wrong. He's right in the sense that yes, making movies is hard, but that doesn't excuse you when you make a bad movie or when someone thinks that you've made a bad movie. Trust me, I think we'll hopefully be able to do a best and worst of with you, and I'll make my own best and worst of. So why is he complaining? He has no right to say that you can't.
Paulie joining us here tonight, saying that just for that post, he's doing a top 5 worst films in 2023. Yeah, so yeah, I can't wait to do our best and worst show. I might have to push it back to January because of the holiday season. But yeah, we're definitely going to be doing that show, and I got a whole lot of movies to tear apart. I got a list of at least 10 with at least 5 more honorable mentions. Yeah, no, there's no one's getting spared this year. I can guarantee you that much. So.
I believe that a few of your movies will be dominated by sex.
Yeah,
I'll
maybe
put it that
just
way.
two.
Yeah, bottom
Other,
two.
I mean, yeah, those bottom, those top. I mean, I guess you could call it top 2 of the worst. Those were pretty bad, but the rest of them were just generally awful movies. But like I said, we'll save that conversation for a couple of weeks. Let's get into Wonka now. Let's talk about
my
speaking of
chocolate is
bad movies. Let's
cold.
talk about Willy Wonka. So everyone knows the 1971 film by now. Everyone knows the movie with Gene Wilder. It's a classic. Everyone has watched that film probably multiple times. If you haven't, you're probably something's wrong with you or your household. You might have to call Child Protective Services and be removed out of your house if you haven't seen that one yet. But and it feels like Hollywood for the last 50 years, it feels like, has been trying to recreate the magic of this one movie that really, really worked and everyone really liked the first time around. And as a result of this, they've created a couple of sequels, reboots, or films that have just been pretty, pretty awful. Do you remember the 2005 film with Johnny Depp that came out almost 20 years ago?
I've never seen it. I have deliberately avoided it, though my mom did see it.
Well, I can tell you this much. It is a dumpster fire. It is an absolute trash fire. They thought that, well, he's so charismatic in Pirates of the Caribbean. He'll be perfect to play Willy Wonka in a televised movie. And I was like, no, 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 no,
Well,
no,
the way
no. He was basically a cartoon character and a very, very a bad cartoon character with a very, very poor script. And that film did not go over very well with the people who were supposed to love it.
now the thing is, just from my knowledge of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, they named it that. First, Johnny Depp was channeling Michael Jackson. That's what I've been told in mannerisms, voice, look. Secondly, they did kind of give him a backstory and put in Sir Christopher Lee as his dentist father, which is why he has this thing for sweets and chocolates. I'm I'm always a little trepidatious whenever they want to put in a backstory to the big character.
Because it's a blatant cash grab.
Well, because I really like the mystery. I mean, that's the thing. One of the things that makes Gene Wilder so good in the role is like you really don't know much about him except what you see, and so you get to put in your own ideas. I mean, we don't really need to know the background of Willy Wonka, as far as I know. So, but I never saw the Johnny Depp version. And I don't really have a desire to.
You're probably not missing anything. As a matter of fact, you're definitely not missing anything. It's not a good movie.
You're
So
gonna put that in the wheel?
no, absolutely not. Maybe if I decided to create like a punishment will, I'll throw this one on there just so that
That
people
and
can see.
Elvira.
Hmm. Yeah, it'd be nothing but Elvira on that list.
Woohoo!
Um, so then we get this new, I believe Warner Brothers is the one responsible for this. They decide, hey, let's go ahead and do the same thing that didn't work before, and then and then let's go ahead and do the same thing that didn't work before. But now let's get Timothy Chalamet, who's the name actor in this film, who's I think is probably a less relevant Tom Holland when it comes to their acting styles and their performances, their presence, their aura of here. I
No,
mean,
I
at least.
disagree.
Oh, so you're saying that Holland's actually worse than Timmy here?
Yes, because I can't imagine Tom Holland leading the Fremen against the Emperor of the known universe. All
Oh
right,
yeah, I forgot that you're one of those people who actually think that Dune was a good movie. Yeah,
it
yeah,
is.
yeah. Okay.
It's one of the greatest films ever made.
Yeah, sure. Just like Spider Verse is one of the greatest films ever made. Everything's
I
great.
wouldn't go that far.
Hmm.
But also, I mean, Tom Holland, all he ever does is oh, Mr. Stark, the old movie. At least Timothy Chalamet has shown that he can do other things other than.
It's either a hey Mr. Smart or it's Mr. Stark or face mushing the pillows. Apparently, if you look at his latest performances, there he's never gonna live that down. I mean, you talk about taking a break from Hollywood, he might as well just pack it in and call it a career after that one. Like no one's ever gonna look at Spider-Man the same after that performance.
I don't know. I've not seen it. So I mean I've not seen him in. I don't think I've seen him. Well, maybe in something early in his career, but I can't remember anything that Tom Holland has done. But I still think Timothy Chalamet is better than Tom Holland. Sorry.
No, I mean, then neither one of them is great, so it's like it's not like worth going all in on. Like, well, no, actually, Tom Holland. It's like, I mean, they're both like mediocre. Let's just be honest. Like, if this is a wrestling show, they both be on the undercard. So I don't know, like, what would be
Well, they're
like.
both. Well, actually, I don't know how well that would work. They're both very willowy. Although Tom Holland was a little more muscular, I guess, in Spider-Man. But I don't understand what that means. Alex versus Evil.
uh,
I don't understand what that means, and I'm not
do you
sure.
need to explain it to you? Because I
Well,
don't think you
I'll just watch the video of the congressional aide on the Senate hearing room,
yeah,
and I
it's
guess
basically the
that'll explain
same
that.
thing. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I think that's
go.
what it means, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
I'm not going there.
I will, but we'll try that on the next show. So I mean, look, I've like I said, I haven't really seen anything from this guy who that has impressed me and anything that he's done so far. So like I said, he just looks like a Tom Holland knockoff with less charisma. And that's been my own personal opinion. You can agree to disagree with that, but apparently Hollywood has something for this kid because they put him in on these big projects. Obviously, the Dune movies. This one now with Willy Wonka, and now he's essentially taking the role here of Gene Wilder in a film that's supposed to be set in the pre Willy Wonka days. This is his origin story. So this is I don't really know if they actually stated that this is like the same universe or just like a parallel universe, but in one way or another, they're
It's a
going back to.
multiverse.
Yeah, you might as well, right? I mean. I don't know if this is Earth like 505 where Willy Wonka grew up and apparently had to build his entire empire on the back of like a black woman or something like that. So yeah, here we are. This is Wonka, everyone. So he's
Well,
a
little black girls need to know that they can, you know, build empires of chocolate. I don't know.
why?
She's that world's Madam C.J. Walker. We'll put it that way.
I don't even know who that is.
You don't know who Madam C.J. Walker is?
Never messing with you. Trust me. Matter of fact, there's a quick little side rant here. When we were doing Black History Month, I did not want to have to do another Madam C.J. Walker, Frederick Douglass, and blah. I was like, okay, wait, we've heard all these names. Can we do someone like more recently, like someone in like the last 100 years? Do we have to do the same like two people every Black History Month when we
Well,
do
you've got
celebrate?
you've got Kamala Harris now, so you know.
Is she, oh she's black when convenient. Is that what
And
you're
then
thinking?
there's a Katanji Brown Jackson or Jackson Brown. I always forget which which one goes first.
Gross. Anyway, I need to go ahead and rant on this real quick because before we really get into the story here, I've noticed this trend with Hollywood, especially over the last 5 years. Now, I noticed this more with like Netflix more than like actual like major studios, but it seems like the major studios are starting to like link into this as well here. Is that they take actors, especially it seems to be more young black female actors who don't have a lot of actual acting experience before the projects that they're working on here, and they seem to think, well, if we put this girl in a movie with like a big name star, it's almost like a pro wrestling effect. She'll get the rub off of working with, this star, then somehow that's going to raise her status and make her a star as a result. We've seen this so many, like I said, Netflix is almost, let's say, they created the blueprint with this over the last several years, because there's a lot of Netflix movies you can point to where they put a young black girl with like a Jamie Foxx or a Joseph Gordon-Levitt or somebody else within those lines, and they think that, oh yeah, we're gonna make this girl a star because she's working with the other big stars. It's like, well, if you're not good in and of yourself, if you don't have any talent to bring to the table, that whole plan is not exactly like gonna work. It's like, I understand like thinking that, oh well, if this dude fights Hulk Hogan in a big wrestling match, that guy's gonna be a star. It's like, it's not pro wrestling though. This is acting. Like, you can't use the same logic. It's not gonna go over very well. But they do it here again. Her name is Kali or Kayla Lane. But I think up to this point, her notable role was in This Is Us, the TV show. I think she was only in like one episode, but if you look at her filmography, doesn't really have a whole lot of things as far as like acting experience here. But of course, like I said, they needed a young teenage black girl for the to be the mentor, or I guess the apprentice here for Willy Wonka in this film. So she's in the movie and she's kind of in a co-lead spot. What do you think about this whole thing of just like trying to put actors who don't have much experience into roles before they're actually ready to do so? It's like, I don't understand why would they. I mean, we talked about this with Echo. It's like, why are we giving so many like big spots to people who haven't actually shown that they can perform in the sense that, that they earn those spots yet?
I would say the same thing about Tom Holland. I mean, he was just kind of put in there. I mean, what did he do? Billy Elliot on Broadway, and then the Impossible movie that I did like. But apart from that, look, I've mentioned this before many times. Back in the studio system, they gave their contract players small parts in films alongside with bigger names, but they waited to see what the audience reaction would be. And if that particular actor started building, interest, and people started noticing him or her, that's when they would grant him or her bigger parts, supporting parts, and then build them up. Nowadays, you get a lot of people who you want to turn into instant stars, and it doesn't always work. So, but I'm just curious, Jacob, how old is this girl?
14, I believe.
Okay,
So
so well, I think let's just I think it might be a little unfair to just kind of say, oh well, she does. Of course, she doesn't have a lot of experience because she's only 14. So I don't want to
like I
say I'm
said,
going.
in answer Paulie's question here, like, why is Max? Like I said, I've noticed this pattern specifically over the last couple of years that they're doing this now, and every time I like, well, when I notice someone who I hadn't like seen before, the first time I'll look and see like, okay, what else has she done? Have I seen her in anything else? And then you get that bare filmography where it's like there's maybe one or two things, maybe a couple of shorts that person has done, and then like there's really like nothing else. I'm thinking to myself, are they specifically go because they need to, I guess, fill whatever diversity and inclusion quota that they need, that they just got to pill like somebody else, like literally anybody to fill these spots or whatnot? Or is it just like, I can't think of in Hollywood especially that there's not, I guess, people with more experience? And that's kind of what I'm tackling here, is the fact that a lot of these people who are getting these spots are not very experienced up to this point, and they're
All right.
getting major roles in these films. That's kind of the disconnect that I'm seeing. It's like, why are you giving people who don't have that much experience a big spot like this before they've had an opportunity to actually work their way up for it?
That might be an issue separate from the fact that she's black. That might be
Mm-hmm.
an issue in giving someone who does not have a lot of acting experience a major part. My understanding, and I guess just based on the trailer, since I've not seen this movie, my
Yeah.
understanding is that yes, she's the protege, but it's not like she's the co-lead. You're saying that she is the co-lead, essentially.
She becomes more important to the story as the film goes on. So, like I said, once we get the, obviously, because the focus is going to be on Wonka for the first part of the story, and then, like I said, it's his whole backstory, his introduction, and then we start to slowly put the pieces together on how he built his chocolate fortune here. Because so, kind of get into the story. We can talk about this here now. He's a kid who's an inspiring musician, inventor, and he has a dream of, running his own chocolate shop in this unnamed city here. But of course, he angers, and I wish I was making this up, but I'm not. He angers the bosses of Big Chocolate, and yes, there are a Big Chocolate conspiracy going on here in this town that he's a part of, because he wants to bring in, and of course, he has the best chocolate like out of anyone. But all of these people who have a lot of money tied into their projects, they don't want a guy like Wonka to come into their territory and start taking away from their profits and whatnot. So they start to conspire against them, saying that if you try to sell in our town, we're essentially going to run you out of here one way or another. So
Now, isn't that the plot for Tucker, the Man in His Dream, where where was it Preston Tucker creates this great car, and then the big three auto companies conspire to bring him down?
oh, wait, are you talking about the separate universe here, or what?
No, no, no. There was a movie called Tucker the Man in His Dream. It was a biopic, and I believe the man's
Oh, no, no, yeah, no, no, you're talking about, no, no, no,
yeah,
no.
yeah. This sounds like the plot for Tucker the Man in His Dream, where he creates this car, and the big three auto companies conspire to bring him down, and I think they succeed.
Pretty much, but yeah, but not. I mean, initially that's what happens here, but yeah, you're talking about like I said, a group of people. One of them I actually thought was, I'm not sure if you guys know this. Is probably from a few years back, but the character of Mr. Mosley from it was the Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. Have any of you guys ever heard of that? Or maybe that's a little after your time.
That's probably a little after my time. I think they barely brought in color television when I was like in middle school, according to you guys.
Well, I mean, they're talking about even more than that, but one of the guys. No, I'm not even kidding. One of the guys had like his role was like almost like exactly from what that character was on the Disney show, to the point where I had to like literally Google him to figure out if that was in fact like the same character, because he was basically doing like a shot by shot impersonation, I should say, of that character from that Disney show. It's like, isn't that the dude from, yeah, okay, what's his name? Alex vs. Evil knows exactly who I'm talking with here. And so it says Slughorn was scheming even in the Wilder film. I have to go back and
Yeah,
I have to go back and I guess watch the older one, because I'm trying to remember the. Oh no, actually you're right. Yeah, I know. No, no, yeah, actually, Paul is 100% right. I completely blanked on that. No, he's talking about the plot for the original movie that was the one back in
yes,
'71. But of course, we're talking about in the context of this film. This is an event that has happened before that movie, so it's almost even going back before the initial conflict in '71. But yeah, you're right. I totally like blanked on that whole plot point there. And yeah, I'll send Paulie the link just so we can jump in and discuss this one. But yeah, so I mean that's pretty much like where you get into here, and then at the beginning, Wonka's kind of like tricked into working for this hotel. I don't want to call it slavery, because that may get people rubbing the wrong way, but it essentially is. They trick him into slavery. That's this whole musical spiel where anything he does is basically gonna be,
why can't I mean you can have white slavery? I've heard that expression.
Can you though? I mean, can
Yes,
you?
I've heard of white slavery.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not the blackening or anything like that, so we can't like.
Sorry.
Yeah, every time I hear that noise, I think it's your door, and I realize you don't even have a doorbell. So it's like, what are we even doing here?
That
So it's funny too because I was thinking about this scene when when I was watching this movie, and I thought about Rob too because I know how much Rob. Let me say it first before he kills.
sorry. Go ahead.
Because we all know how much Rob loves musicals, right? Especially
Yeah.
musicals that are 2 hours long. And like literally like 5 minutes like into this film, I'm just thinking to myself, I should have forced Rob to go see this movie because I know that he just would have been like sunken into his seat, absolutely like just hating his life at that very moment. Now I'll say this: the production of this film, as far as like visually goes, it is very modern, even though it's supposed to be a little bit older here. But you can tell that they actually took the time to work on, the sets. The production design was actually like pretty good. So I mean, technically, there's a lot of aspects of this film that does work. However, the problem with that is that while the technical aspects of the film are actually pretty good, it feels like the story is completely missing all of the heart that the '71 film had, and it's like it tries so much to, I guess, recreate what that what the '71 film does. It definitely throws like a lot of memory berries at you and plants a lot of seeds of nostalgia. But I'm just sitting over here looking at this film, and it's like there's so much disconnection because it films like this films like a movie that was made by a group of people in the studio who were like, hey, let's try to recreate that Wonka magic, but let's do it for quote unquote modern audiences. So let's make a modern interpretation of an old school style Wonka film that tries to play one part old Hollywood and another part try to be like modern. What's the best word for it? Because I don't want to bury it by making it sound worse. So but it's like they try to go for that old like Hollywood style from like the first movie, and then they try to like modernize it to the point where you almost don't feel like you're even watching the same universe. I guess is probably a better way to describe it here.
Oh well. I mean, again, based on the trailers, it looks like it's just trying to be lighthearted, and I can see the throwbacks. I guess people need that so they can be reminded that yes, this is Willy Wonka who will eventually grow up to be Gene Wilder, and I think that's what they're aiming at, and it is a musical. I mean, that I know. You should still make Rob watch it because that would be a lot of fun. In fact, when it's available, put it on the wheel and have Rob watch it.
No, because then I'm gonna have to watch it too, and I'm not gonna do that all again. It's
Oh,
just
come
not.
on, come on.
Nah,
Rob
that's not.
needs to pay for his sins somehow.
Well, we can discuss that on Monday night. Because he has a lot that needs to be paid for. We'll put it that way. But I mean, I, it's so hard. I think one of the biggest issues that I had here. This reminds me of a film that came out a couple of years ago. I'm not sure if anyone remembers it. It was called Twist, and it was kind of like a modern day, I guess, take on Oliver Twist. I believe it had Michael Caine in there and a few other people. And it's like when you try to do those old school classics, like stories like the ones we're doing here, and you try to recreate that. I don't feel like Hollywood, especially nowadays, has the ability to emotionally connect with the audience to the way that they get the reaction that they're going for. Like this film like has a big angle with Wonka and his mother, and now his mother inspires him to chase his dreams, and he's really like doing all this for his mom. It's like I get that that's probably like the big emotional sell of the movie. However, you're not really portraying that throughout the course of the film because everything else seems so detached from the message that you're trying to portray. It just feels like you're losing more than what you're actually trying to gain. And I think there's, like I said, we've talked about it many times. I think there's a big disconnect with the writing room and its audience because when Hollywood writes for films like this, they have their idea of who their audience is in their mind, and they only try to placate to that audience. However, that's not the majority of people who are actually watching films, which is why I think they're having a big trouble with a lot of these movies that are flopping because they just don't know how to connect, or maybe they just don't want to connect with the audience that's actually paying money to go to the theaters right now. So, if you heard on social media, there's a lot of heat about this movie right now, saying that like I said, soulless, bare, generic. emotionless. It doesn't. There's nothing in here that really makes you smile happy or laugh the way that the film wants you to. I mean, Hollywood's just really bad at creating comedies right now. I mean, there's no doubt about it whatsoever. So it's
I
like everything that they want you to feel, they just never it never truly lands. So you're just sitting there essentially watching one miss or another.
Well, I've come up with an expression, forced frivolity. When you try to make something happy and you try to convince people that everything's happy in this world, but it just looks so forced that it doesn't look real. That might be the case here. Again, not having seen it, I can't comment. But when you brought up Twist, it reminded me of Great Expectations, an adaptation with Ethan Hawke and Gwyneth Paltrow, when they adapted that book. And it was terrible because they changed so much of the story to fit the times. I think when that happens, Jacob, it's that the filmmakers don't trust the audience to understand the setting, don't understand the plot. Very few films that are adapted from older literature
Mm-hmm.
work. I think Clueless works because they really adapted it. They took the plot of Emma and then just shifted it to the California world, but kept it in that world. 10 Things I Hate About You is a great adaptation of Taming of the Shrew because again they adapted it to that world, but they kept the story. In other times, like that version of Great Expectations and maybe Twist, which I never saw, I never even heard of until now. I only remember Oliver the musical. We should put that on the wheel because that won Best Picture, and I don't know why. But trust me, I like the music, but it shouldn't have won Best Picture. Point being, I think maybe audiences, I mean, filmmakers don't trust their audience enough, and that's a terrible disservice. You need to trust your audience to understand it, and audiences will get it. So again, why Willy Wonka? I mean, Wonka being a musical is not a surprise. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is a musical. They
Yeah.
so why are people surprised, or why would anyone be surprised that Wonka is a musical? Eh, The first one that everyone loves is a musical, and it's like one of the few musicals that people, even who hate musicals, like, except
I
for
will
maybe
say
Rob.
this, and you do bring up a good point. I think where my disconnect here is with this film is that Wonka, while being the talking about the 71 film, while being a musical, it does mix its musical acts well with its actual story. So it is telling you a story while having the musical acts where it flows a lot better, and you're not feeling like the music and the story is like completely disjointed, where it's like this example this
Integrated.
yeah it's better integrated. Like you hear, I think at the beginning scene, there's a scene where he's like going around the town, and like I said, he's first arriving and whatnot, and it just doesn't feel like the film is very well connected. uh it's hard for me to describe without going too much like the spoilers here, but it just doesn't feel like what they're shooting for is what is actually being portrayed on film, if that makes any sense. It's like I think they were thinking that, oh, this is going to be kind of like that lighthearted old school, I wanted to say Disney because that sounds a little too iffy these days, but they were trying to go for that more family friendly type of environment, like the old movies that Disney used to make like 30 years ago, that was more, humorous and the whole family can enjoy. But I think that because it doesn't really know what its audience truly is, because it's like, are you pandering to the people who saw the 71 film, or it's like, well, those people are going to be significantly older? Are you trying to bring in people who are much younger to try to get them to like into the Wonka universe? I don't think that this is the right way to do it, right? So there's like, when you're having such a big gap in your target audience, and you're trying to, I guess, invite everyone in, you're going to have some disconnect here, because what you're presenting to anyone is not going to appeal to everyone like you want it to. So
Well, I can give you a bad example of what a family musical would be. And that's Doctor Dolittle,
mm,
the 1968 or 69 version. I think it was in the late 60s
I think
with
so.
Rex Harrison. That one was terrible because they couldn't get the songs to work with the story. I don't know if that's the case here, but it's interesting that actually once they go into the factory, most of the songs are dominated by the Oompa Loompas, and it's just the Oompa Loompas who sing, like telling you why this particular kid met his or her fate.
Yeah.
So if you notice that after once they get to the factory, most of those songs are dominated by just the same one. The Oompa Loompa song that they repeat over and over, of course, with different lyrics.
Yeah.
S But again, I'm eager to see this movie. I actually am looking forward to it because I I I,
You
I
want to
like
start
Bob.
see if I'm wrong?
Well, that as well, and you're wrong about Dune. You and Rob are both wrong about Dune.
No,
Uh,
we're totally right about Dune.
no, no, you're wrong.
It's
But I'll
trash.
also say that I like most musicals, not all musicals. A musical can still be bad, but
Like La La Land.
that's not a musical. That's a gleefication. You see, this is what's wrong with the kids. They think Glee is a musical. Glee is not a musical. There are many musicals nowadays. It's all jukebox. Like they take the songbook of a particular artist and then just try to ram a story.
Well, this is
That
like I
was,
said.
that's what happened. That's
This is
what
kind of
happened
the problem we're
in
talking about here because you're trying to mix an old style that Hollywood used to do several decades ago and you try to modernize it, but you don't have the personnel to pull off like what Julie Garland could have done like in the 1930s. Like if you're trying to recreate that style of like musical with her being the central focus, you're not going to hire Emma Stone. Like that's just not what you're going to do, right?
well
And
at the
they
same
don't have. Go ahead.
well no, I was gonna say at the same time, back in the 30s and 40s and even 50s, look at who they had: the Gershwin brothers, Irving Berlin. uh, Those are the songwriters that they
I mean,
hired.
if you really want to get into it, you had actual movie studios, not corporations that own movie studios. That's another big problem that you have.
That as well. I mean, so you had actual craftsmen like Rodgers and Hammerstein, Lerner and Lowe, even Kander and Ebb. You had those types of people writing musicals. Now people think that something like The Greatest Showman is a musical. I mean, it is, but it's not a good musical because all their songs
Because
were
it's a
all the
Tony
same.
Award performance and not an actual musical.
What was no? I mean, all those songs in that movie were all very big and bombastic, except maybe one or two songs. So that was my issue with The Greatest Showman. That and the fact that his daughters never age. My mom said that they should have put he should have put them in the freak show or in that museum because those little girls never age in the whole movie. Point
Well,
being,
Kirk and Rumble just said that yeah, he'll never want to see Wonka. So
oh, stop kvetching. I'll look. I'm gonna see it. I'll let you know on Tuesday if you like what I think of it. But I know that I think maybe the Mexicans disagree with you, Jacob, because I know that Paulie is very much in disagreement with you.
hmm.
If he ever wants to jump in,
Nah, he's unavailable to jump in right now, but that's
ah,
fine. I mean, you guys, you're more than happy, you're more than welcome to be completely and utterly wrong when it comes to
but we'll
Disney and
see. We'll
Wonka.
see.
Okay.
Okay, how about this? Is Wonka? Wonka, is it better than the Johnny Depp version?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Easy. Not even close. Yeah. Easy.
Okay, so there you go. So it's in the middle. So it's in
Yeah.
the middle.
I played it this way because, like I said, I think with the Johnny Depp version, they went, "Oh, let's just go full cartoon character." With that because it's Johnny Depp, right? And that was probably its biggest sin. With this one, I think they tried to pull away from that, but at the same time, it still didn't connect with the audience that they were shooting for. I don't believe so.
Well, you see, that's an issue. I mean, you're trying to build a movie based on something that people already know, and a lot of people uh, love. So you're already starting out in a very peculiar position where you have to like, do you recall the 71 version? Do you try to be your own? Are you trying to set up something that will lead to people to think that this will eventually get to the 71 version? So, prequels can be dicey because you're already building off established material. So we'll just see how it works. For you, it didn't. For Polly, it did. Apparently, for me, we'll find out when I see it. For I see it, when I see it on Sunday.
Well, how about this? If they wanted to, and a good idea, this is what they should have done, right? You should first of all just get Gene Wilder, right? I'm pretty sure he's still alive. You get Gene Wilder. You fucking-
We have a seance.
might might as well.
inhabit Chalamet's spirit.
Everyone else in the Hollywood's contacted doing witchcraft. You might as well to prevent you all. Nah. So I mean, I'll say this. I just didn't think that what they were shooting for worked. It's not going to be anywhere near my worst of the year. So I mean, you don't have to worry about me going like that far on it. But it's definitely not one of my better films of 2023 either.
Yeah,
So
I mean, when I see it, I'll have to judge on the songs because a lot of people know the songs from the 71 version. And we'll see how they measure up. We'll see how Shyamalan, whatever, measures up to Gene Wilder, which is a very tough act to follow. And we'll just see how it works because you can't rely on Charlie, you can't rely on Grandpa Joe or any of those characters. So
is Grandpa Joe still alive? Is that
no, and we're not sure about Uncle Joe. Uncle Joe, our president. He's iffy. Bless his
well,
heart.
well, unfortunately, Uncle Joe wasn't the one with the camera in that video that took place at the Senate Hall. Because I mean,
But
that's
no, when he says from the bottom of my heart, I was like, oh my
hmm
gosh, just okay.
oh yeah, there was a lot of bottoms going on in that room. That's all I gotta say there. But
always remember, January 6th was worse.
yeah, of course, January 6th was worse than actual 9/11.
So I've heard.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, you know what? If you want to get freaky, I'm sure you could pick somewhere else. And if you
hmm
have to pick the Senate hearing room, don't videotape it. Why?
These people are bold in their stupidity now because they know that they're going to get away with it. That's why they continue to do stuff like this because they know they're going to get away with it.
Now, if they really wanted to do something, they should have performed that, videotape themselves doing that in front of the statue of Jefferson Davis. So maybe they would have taken down the statue of Jefferson Davis if that had happened in front of it.
No, maybe not.
See,
But
we couldn't have that.
so that was our Wonka portion of the show here. So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna hop over to Twitter. We're gonna hop over the Rumble. So we're gonna jump over to the second half of our show, which is Hollywood Shuffle. So I gave you guys the link to our Rumble stream. If you guys want to hop over to that right now, I'll also give you guys the link to our stream over on Twitter if you guys want to watch this over there. So go check us out over there because we're gonna go ahead and watch this movie, but you have to watch it on those platforms. We're gonna say goodbye to you guys here on the YouTube side of things. So adios, and then we'll catch you guys in just a couple seconds.